History of Fictitious. Volume 3. Story number 4. Alice and the Creator's Secret. Told by Alice. Written by his pencil.
Under the orders of King Camden, this record is to be sealed from the public. Only those with strict permission and authority may gain access. In short, for the curious, it contains a mention of a false creator, and it is not suitable for the general reader. It is but a segment of the witch hunt. For information on the witch hunt, please read King Camden's written works, as the information will contain a truthful account of what transpired.
Clarissa, I shouted as I looked at her tall figure. She stood by Camden in the school's car park. They were both in their final year, and I only knew them because my best friend was Clarissa's little sister. Otherwise, I would have never dared approach the fashionable creative and the military brat. I ran to them, breathing heavily when I reached them. My blue bow was out of its place in my dirty blonde hair, and I no doubt looked windblown from my run. Clarissa kindly readjusted the bow where it was supposed to be. She always had an eye for detail. "Hello, Alice," Clarissa said with an amused grin. "What do you need?" "I was just wondering where Irene was today," I said, worried about my friend. "Oh, she's just sick." "Nothing to worry about." My young heart only grew anxious to hear that my friend was unwell. "Sick? Are you getting a lift with Camden? Can I come? I want to give Irene her homework." Clarissa bit her lip. "Are you sure that's okay with your parents?" "Yes," I said, confident that my parents wouldn't mind if I got a lift home with our neighbors. They posed no threat to me, and I was already entering my independent stage. 15 was plenty old enough to be allowed some freedoms. Camden shrugged. "All right, let's go then." He took out his keys and we walked to his old truck. Camden unlocked the doors and I climbed in the back while Clarissa got in the front. Before Camden got in, though, he spotted another final-year student coming out of the high school with a large vase full of flowers. Clarissa and I watched as he ran over. The girl smiled in thanks as he assisted her. He brought the vase to her car and they chatted for a while. "Is that Christy?" I asked Clarissa. She nodded. "Yeah, Camden calls her his flower girl, though they have barely spoken to each other. This is the most I've seen them together. It's cute and heartbreaking at the same time." "Why?" "Well, after he graduates at the end of the year, his family is going back to America. Of course, Camden claims he wants to go to a university here, but I think his real reason is her." Finally, Camden bade Christy farewell and got in the right side of the car. He revved his ancient engine, making me laugh. We then sped off to our neighborhood. Our first stop was Clarissa's house. We all walked in to say hello to Irene. I held her homework in my hands as we traveled down to her room. I tossed Irene's door open to find her staring at a green book. She glanced over at us as we entered the tiny room. And right before my eyes, the book in her hands changed. It went from green to silver. Carved into the book was golden lettering spelling out the word fictitious in neat print. My mouth popped open, but I was not the only one who witnessed the change. Clarissa and Camden were also dumbstruck. Irene jumped to her feet and pointed at all three of us with triumph in her voice. "I knew it. You three are the ones." She quickly handed Clarissa the book and urged her to read it. Clarissa gawked at her sister, utterly baffled. "What's this, Irene? Where did you get this thing?" "Just give it a read," Irene said. "Everything will make sense. I reckon I know how to get rid of darkness." "Darkness?" Camden chimed in. "What do you mean by that?" "They need someone from our world. The wise man of old will give you instructions once you arrive, but you must go." Clarissa peered down at the book, clearly feeling lost. Then I snatched the book from her and opened it up. I read the writing out loud. It starts with just one sentence. I glanced back up at Irene as there was nothing else to be read on the page. "That's it." Suddenly, Clarissa, Camden, and I were sucked into the pages of the book. Irene disappeared from our view. There was whirling sanitation in my gut and then a flash of blue sky. We landed in the forest with a massive tree in front of us. I shook my head, wondering if my vision was playing tricks on me. The tree was bathed in golden light and seemed to glitter. My head ached, but no matter how many times I blinked, the scenery didn't change. Then a bloke came out from inside the tree, clutching a similar book to Irene's. He slammed it shut and looked upon us. Next thing we knew, he bowed to us. We glanced at one another in confusion. Queen Clarissa of Terranil, King Camden of Avani, and Queen Alice of Baldwin, welcome to Fictitious. We have been waiting for you to help us save our world from darkness. From that moment on, our lives were changed forever. We went on an adventure to calm the centaurs of that world, hoping to quell their rebellion. Once we made peace with the centaurs, everything was blissful. We were crowned and met loads of people. The longer we stayed there, the more we began to recognize that the people there were also similar to others in our own world. Camden found Christie serving as a maid, but her name was Catherine. He fell in love with her even more. He wasn't the only one who found love on our adventure. Clarissa met a young king named Clyde. He helped us resolve the Centaur rebellion while also winning over Clarissa's heart. Then I met a lad named Titus, whom I recognized as Thomas in our world. As time dragged on, the wise man of old told us that we had spent far too much time in Fictitious once Camden asked him about proposing to Catherine. He told us that Irene was waiting for us to return. He gave us the book and all of us went back reluctantly. Once we came back, we were all outside in the tree house we built together as a neighborhood. Irene was the first face we saw. When she saw me blink in confusion, she wrapped her arms around us. "I thought you guys got lost in there," she exclaimed. "The whole school year is over and you've been acting a bit dodgy. Do you even remember anything?" I shook my head in disbelief. "You mean we were still here when we were actually there? How does that work?" Irene smiled. "I don't quite understand it myself, but I reckon if you think hard enough, you'll recall what happened here as well. How did you like it? I've been giving my entire imagination to make Fictitious a better place." Clarissa stopped Irene. "You mean to say that you are the creator they kept talking about? How is that possible?" "Well, their time was different from ours, at least until you lot went in. Now it should match how time ticks here. Thank goodness for that. It was a great fuss to keep track of their time." "So you already know what we went through?" Camden asked. Irene nodded. "Yeah, you were brilliant. Hopefully, darkness won't return anytime soon so you can get some rest." She then looked directly at Camden and said, "You know, Christie has been asking about you." Camden stood up eagerly. "Christie? I'd better go find her." Irene blocked his way out of the treehouse. "Hold on a sec. Before you dash off, you should know your parents aren't too thrilled." "Huh? Why is that?" "Because you've already insisted you're staying for her." Camden closed his eyes. "Well, even if they drag me back home, I'll find a way back." He stormed past Irene and went down the ladder. I noticed Irene's frown of concern. Clarissa and I stood at the window and followed Camden with our eyes as he left to go find Christie. I thought of all the odd things that happened to Camden while he was in Fictitious. He constantly told us about his dreams, one of which was Catherine dying. "Sadly," Irene whispered, "you stayed in there far too long.